A very good evening and thank you for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Primetime News. I'm Selima Shumwefeleni Masipa. Our lead story tonight focuses on the commemoration of the late Archbishop of the St. John's Apostolic Faith Mission Church, Daniel Shiombo, who passed away at the age of 87 on Sunday at his residence. During the memorial service, Bishop Uwavengangahahe described Archbishop Shiombo as a man of utmost honesty, deeply rooted in his cultural heritage and devoted to his faith in God. Let's listen in.
Archbishop Shiombo was a man of cloth, a man of God. I would say he was a mentor, he was a teacher, a messenger, and also a sender of God. So he had a deep root in biblical message. So this man hailed from Continental region, better known as Okauko. He was born there in Okani Hova, 87 years ago. So he was born in 1936, the 1st of October. So he, why he was called Catechisa, his mother were holding a sort of catechisms. So you know that book. So when he was pregnant, so that's why the child was called. And this catechisms is actually what made him to be a holy man of God.
On to multilateral relations. During the inaugural meeting of the high-level panel of experts on Africa and the reform of the multilateral system, hosted by the Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation on Monday, Primetime News had an exclusive interview with Tim Muruti, head of the Peacebuilding Interventions Program at the Institute for Justice and Reconciliation in Cape Town. Muruti emphasized the importance of African involvement in pushing for the reform of Article 109 of the United Nations Charter. This article calls for a comprehensive review of the United Nations system as a whole and is set to be discussed during the ongoing high-level meeting. Here's more on that interview.
So the African Union has historically been excluded from the permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council. As you know, when the United Nations was established, there were only 3 independent African countries. And 76 years after the fact, now we need to assess how Africa can be included on an equal basis as a member of the United Nations Security Council, even including a membership of the permanent positions within the Council. In the absence of that, we as Africa need to push for the reform of the United Nations Charter, in particular Article 109 of the United Nations Charter calls for the review of the United Nations system as a whole, and we as this high-level panel meeting in Namibia will be discussing the review of the United Nations Charter going forward, and we would like to ensure that Africa has a seat at the table. We've heard that if Africa is not sitting at the table, then more often than not Africa is on the menu at these tables. So Africa has an important stake in the transformation of the multilateral system, as well as the transformation of the international economic order. As you know, the Bretton Woods Institution was also established following the establishment of the United Nations.
Now turning our focus to the Kavango East region. The president of the Popular Democratic Movement PDM, McHenry Venani, made a poignant statement expressing his concerns about Namibia's loss of numerous talented individuals as a result of political persecution in the country. According to Venani, these individuals with brilliant minds held immense potential that could have contributed significantly to the nation's progress and development. We now bring you further insights from this report compiled by Sawi Hausiku.
Venani made this remark during his party's mega rally at Rundu on Saturday, aimed to revitalize all its structures as the party gears up for the 2024 presidential and National Assembly elections. He said there is a beacon of wisdom that the country needs to guide it forward by bringing home Namibians in their diaspora who have carried with them hopes and aspirations of many Namibians before them. According to the PDM leader, the return of diaspora leaders holds an immense potential for the country as they bring a wealth of knowledge and experience, having worked in diverse fields and in different culture contexts. Namibia's destiny, he said, is in the hands of Namibians wherever they may be in the world. Thus, it is important to harness the collective power of the diaspora to propel Namibia forward.
Turning our attention to a tragic incident, authorities in the Erongo region have confirmed the loss of 2 lives following a helicopter crash. The incident reportedly occurred east of Swakopmund Airfield on Monday. Ishmael Mukuvonda reports.
According to a preliminary incident report issued by Erongo Regional Community Policing Commander Inspector Eleni Shapumba, it was alleged that the pilot and the helicopter engineer from the Swakopmund Flying School took the helicopter for a test after fixing it. Shapumba added that both the men were busy fixing the new rotary blades which were recently inserted on the helicopter, after which they took it for a test. However, whilst up in the air, the pilot lost control over the helicopter, which resulted in it crashing, causing the instant death. The incident happened at about 1500 hours. The Directorate of Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigations in the Ministry of Works and Transport attended the scene, and both this unit and the police are investigating the matter further. The deceased are yet to be identified. Reporting for Primetime News, Ishmael Mukuvonda.
Our hearts go out to the families and loved ones of the victims during this difficult time. Stay tuned for the business segment. Welcome to the Primetime Biz Slot, your go-to segment for all things business, economics and development, bringing crucial topics to the forefront. In recent news, the Government Institutions Pension Fund, GIPF, made an important announcement. On Monday, the Board of Trustees appointed Ono Amutenya as the acting Chief Executive and Principal Officer of the fund. This appointment comes at a significant juncture for GIPF and is poised to play a crucial role in shaping the organization's future and its engagement with stakeholders. To provide us with more context on this development, our correspondent Ishmael Mukuvonda delves deeper into the implications of this leadership change and what it means for the fund's operations.
In a media statement issued on Monday, Chairperson of the Board of Trustees of GIPF, Nilian Mulemi, stated that Amutenya will be taking over the acting CEO position effective from 5 August 2023 for a period of 6 months. Mulemi said the decision to appoint Amutenya as the acting CEO was made in a view of the end of the interim CEO, David Nuyoma's term on 4 August 2023, to allow for a handover and, most importantly, with due regard to the process of appointing a substantive CEO, a process that is currently underway. She further stated, as a member of the executive team, Amutenya has demonstrated good leadership skills and team cohesion. Furthermore, Amutenya played and continues to play a critical role in shaping the fund's information systems strategies that have underpinned the fund's success in offering efficient and accessible services to its esteemed members. Reporting for Primetime News, Ishmael Mukuvonda.
Turning our attention to Continental business updates. In response to growing concerns and complaints about pollution, the Zambian government is taking proactive steps to strengthen the monitoring of mining operations in the country. This announcement was made by a senior official on Monday. The move comes as environmental issues and their impact on local communities have gained increased attention, prompting the government to address the situation and ensure responsible mining practices.
Minister of Green Economy and Environment Colin Zovu said the government has no plans to close any mining firm but intends to ensure that the companies will comply with the laws governing mining operations in the country. The government is interested in expansion of the mining sector, but not at the expense of human health and the environment, he said in a statement released after he inspected some coal mining companies in the southern part of the country, following complaints such as pollution, water contamination, and unlicensed operation for some companies. He expressed concerns that some mining firms are operating with poor management of wastewater and a lack of dust suppression mechanisms. The minister said the treatment of wastewater in mining companies is important as both people and animals depend on the same water source for their livelihood. Reporting for Primetime News, Diana Kauta.
That wraps up our top segment for tonight. Up next, stay tuned for the economics roundup. But before we delve into that, let's take a look at the weather forecast to see how the prospects are shaping up throughout the entire country. Welcome to Sport Planet, your go-to segment for all things action. In recent sporting news, Namibia's T47 sprinter Bradley Morere and T12 female sprinter Lahia Ipinge, guided by Paulus Philippus, unfortunately missed out on spots to contend for medals after failing to reach their finals in their respective events. During the Monday morning heats, Bradley Morere finished 4th in Heat 2 of the mixed category of the T46, T47 100 meter, clocking in at 11.26 seconds. The heat was won by Patricio Ferreira of Brazil with a seasonal best of 10.35 seconds, which also happened to be the fastest time recorded from all three heats held. Meanwhile, in the 200-meter semi-finals, Namibian T12 sprinter Lahia Ipinge, who made her debut at this year's championships, couldn't maintain her momentum from the heats. She had previously achieved a personal best of 26.65 seconds on Sunday evening to qualify for the semi-final. However, in the semi-final race, Ipinge finished 4th with a time of 27.19 seconds, ultimately placing 6th overall in the championship. Now turning our attention to local football. The national senior men's football team coach, Colin Benjamin, has issued a call to those responsible for fixing the football stadiums. In a recent interview with the Namibia Press Agency, Benjamin emphasized that Namibia possesses considerable talent, but the athletes need to be exposed to more international matches to further develop their skills and experience. In other football news, the draw for the 2026 FIFA World Cup African preliminary qualifiers took place recently in Ivory Coast during the 45th CAF General Assembly. Namibia has been drawn into Group H alongside Tunisia, Equatorial Guinea, Malawi, Liberia, and Sao Tome and Principe. Your sports roundup is up next. And that wraps up our Tuesday edition of Primetime News. Thank you as always for being a part of our broadcast. We truly value your viewership and it's been a pleasure to have you with us. From myself, Salima Shumwefeleni Masipa, and the entire production crew behind the scenes, have a great evening and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Good night.